You are worthy of giving yourself the permission to heal. And the only person who can give yourself that permission is you. You're the only one who can determine whether or not you're going to be healthy and whole, or if you're going to stay stuck in the pattern that you don't want to be in anymore. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Permission to Love podcast, where we're learning how to have a healthy, thriving relationship with ourselves by learning to give ourselves the permission to love ourselves. Because remember, the most important relationship that you have in your life is the relationship that you have with yourself. I'm your host, Jerry Henderson. I'm a Master Certified Mindset Coach, author, and speaker, and I'm so grateful that you've said yes to yourself, that you're investing in yourself by being here and listening to this podcast. Now, today I want to talk about giving yourself permission to heal. I talk a lot about giving yourself permission to love yourself, but one of the areas that I see people get hung up on, they get stuck in, is that they don't give themselves permission to heal. And so today I want to talk about that, some of the reasons why we don't give ourselves permission to heal, what that does to us, and then how we can give ourselves the permission to heal and what life can look like on the other side of giving yourself that permission. But let me just start this episode with saying, you, my friend, are worthy of healing. You can give yourself the permission to heal. So I just want to take you through a little exercise real quick. Can you say it with me? I give myself permission to heal. Now, how did that feel in your system? How did it feel in your body? Were you rejecting it? Did it feel a little foreign to you? If it did, those are all those signals that we're still on that journey, right, of learning how to give ourselves permission to heal. And I'm not going to say that giving ourselves permission to heal is a one and done type of scenario, just like giving ourselves permission to love ourselves is not a one and done. It's a lifelong journey, okay? But we get better and better and better at it. And we get rid of the narratives and the stories as to why we don't deserve to heal, why we can't give ourselves permission to heal. So let's get started. I'm excited to go through this episode with you today. So why don't we give ourselves permission to heal? I'm going to talk about just 3 areas today. Number 1 is because of guilt and shame. We feel unworthy of healing. We don't feel like we've done enough to deserve healing, or we haven't been good enough for long enough, or we can't let go of the stories of the past of what happened to us, or the resulting behaviors that we've developed in our lives, or the coping mechanisms that we're using to deal with the pain in our life. And all of that has got us feeling so much shame and guilt that we can't seem to break free from those feelings in order to believe that we're worthy of healing. You see, once again, I just want to remind you that shame is the story that there's something wrong with you. And if you think there's something wrong with you, if you think you're fundamentally broken, you're also going to think that you're unworthy of healing, that you don't deserve it because you're bad. But let me remind you that just because bad things happened, or that you've done quote unquote bad things, doesn't mean that you're bad. Okay, that's the difference between guilt and shame. Quick review. Guilt says I did something wrong, okay? And if I've done something wrong, I can correct that. I can make amends. But shame says I am something wrong. And what am I able to do with that story? If I believe that I am something wrong, it's going to be very difficult for me to believe that I'm worthy of healing and good things. So the first place to start is to begin to examine, are you carrying unhealed shame that says that you don't deserve to heal because of XYZ, whatever that XYZ is. You see, as long as that's there, it's going to be a block. It's going to block you from getting the healing that you need. And that's why many people stay trapped in a cycle of not healing. And that's why people will actually shame themselves out of the healing process, is because they're believing the whole time that they're not worthy of it. But I want to tell you something. It doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter what happened to you. You deserve to heal. You're worthy of healing. And if you're finding resistance in that, and you can't seem to overcome that story or that narrative, I want to let you know something. It is possible. Does it take work? Yes, it does. But you, my friend, are worthy of healing. And you can give yourself the permission to heal. Can you say it with me one more time? I give myself permission to heal. I give myself permission to let go of the shame, to let go of the stories, as to why I'm not worthy to heal. Now, I'm going to say something. I just want you to absorb it. I just want you to let it come into your system. Your behavior and your choices never determine whether or not you're worthy of healing. Every human is worthy of healing. Every human is worthy of love, regardless of what the story is. And guess what? That's all that it is. It is a story that you have developed that has told you why you're not worthy to heal, to change, or to have a beautiful life. And if you develop that story, you can develop a new story. And the story of you deserving healing has no conditions on your behavior, okay? And I know for some of you that's breaking your brain because you think you have to act a certain way or do certain things in order to be worthy of healing. No. Now, we do have to do certain things in order to heal, but our worthiness of healing remains regardless of whether or not we take those actions that will bring healing to us. And one of the things that blocks people from taking those actions is believing that they're unworthy of healing. And a lot of times that's operating at the subconscious level. So I want to help break that for you today. No matter what you've done, no matter what the story is that you have, you are worthy of healing, and you can give yourself permission to heal. Now, the second reason that a lot of people will not give themselves permission to heal is because it's become so tied to their identity, the sense of brokenness, the story that they have, the way that they carry themselves, the narrative. I mean, their whole world, their whole universe revolves around being broken, revolves around their trauma, their narrative, their story. And I get it, and it's okay. Don't judge yourself if you're in that boat, but just ask yourself, do you want to continue to have that as your identity, right? Has that identity gotten you certain things? Yes. Has that identity allowed you to do certain things? Yes. But the challenge is, we don't want to continue to live that way because we know that living that way isn't going to allow us to be the highest version of ourselves. You see, as long as we're trapped into an identity of brokenness and pain, and maybe people feeling sorry for us, or maybe we're able to get away with certain things because we have this story that we tell, that we carry, that's only going to bring more harm to us and more harm to the people in our lives. And when we want to change, when we want to heal, we have to shift from one identity to a new identity. Now, I want to be very mindful here. There's no shame in that story. There's no shame in you being that person and having your identity wrapped up in that. It's okay. It's a survival mechanism that you've used in order to stay safe. It has been trying to serve you. And it's okay. Be kind and gentle with yourself. Don't judge yourself for that. But now begin to dream about the identity that you want to have. Who do you ultimately want to be? And for many people, that can be scary, right? And I did an episode just last week on the fear of changing because we're afraid of the unknown. We don't know what that version of us looks like that's healthy. We don't know the accountability that we're going to have in our lives in order for us to be healthy, because healthy people are accountable for their healing. They're accountable for their choices. And that's scary for people sometimes. And they're more comfortable staying in an identity that's unhealed than moving towards an identity that is healed. But let me encourage you, that always comes back down to a belief that you're not worthy of healing. Because if you believe that you're worthy of healing, if you believe that you're worthy of a new identity, one that brings you true love, true peace, true self-worth, true self-confidence, you'll begin to make the choices to let go of that old identity, even though it served you. And you know what? You can do a little exercise and thank that part of you. Thank that identity that showed up as the broken person, who was the needy person, or whatever the narrative that you have is. Thank that part of you that served you in that way, and then let it know that you don't need it anymore, that you want to create a life with an identity of thriving, that you love yourself, and that you're committed to creating a life that you actually want to live. So take a moment here with me and say the words again. I give myself permission to heal. I give myself permission to let go of that old identity that was serving me at one time, but is no longer serving me anymore. And I give myself permission to create a new version of myself, to step into an identity that is whole, that is healthy, that is thriving. Now, the third reason I'll talk about why people don't give themselves permission to heal is the belief that healing takes away justice. What do I mean by that? Well, for some people, they believe that if they heal, it means that they're going to have to forgive those who wronged them or who harmed them. It would somehow bring the meaning to the pain that they experienced as being okay. Well, now I'm okay and I've moved on and I've become healthy. Does that mean that I'm sending the message that what happened to me was okay, that I've gotten over it, quote unquote, gotten over it? And just believe me, there's really no getting over these things. There's becoming healthy and whole in spite of the things that happen to us and because of the things that happen to us, okay? But there is no truth to the fact that you healing means that you have to forgive somebody, that you have to let them back in your life, that you're saying that what happened to you was okay because look, I've moved on, so it must not have been as bad as I've said it was, or that other people said that it was, etc., etc. Because for some people, healing means that we're saying that what happened to us wasn't as bad as what it really was. And part of that sometimes is you carrying the suffering or feeling like you have to carry the suffering, maybe on behalf of another family member or a sibling, and you feel like you've been having to carry that as a form of justice, as a form of letting the world know just how wrong that was and how much pain that you suffered. I understand that. I do understand that. And I want to let you know that it's okay that you've been carrying that. It's okay that you feel like you've had to carry that as a form of justice. And if you felt like you let it go, it would mean that you were saying that things were okay, or you're not bringing justice maybe to a sibling or somebody else in your family who experienced some of the same pain that you experienced. But the reality is, all it's doing is causing you to suffer more. And guess what? Nobody else is suffering like you're suffering because of that. You carrying that suffering, you carrying that sense of holding on to it as a sense of justice. Is anybody else really suffering because of that? Are you truly making any point? Are you truly making anybody else's life better as a result of your suffering? I'm going to say likely not. I'm going to say the person who's really only suffering and the person who's not living the life that they deserve to live is you. So in reality, it's just keeping you trapped, keeping you tied to the past. And so I want to invite you once again to give yourself permission to heal. I want to invite you to let go of the story that if you heal, it means you have to forgive. If you heal, it means that people need to come back in your life. That if you heal, the pain wasn't as bad as it was. None of that's true. The pain was as bad as it was. And guess what? You can honor the pain, you can honor the past, and you can let go of the past. And one of the ways that we can honor the past and honor our story and honor ourselves is by giving ourselves permission to heal. So can you do it with me again? Can you say the words, I give myself permission to heal. I give myself permission to let go of the stories about what it means if I allow myself to heal. If you're struggling with things like the imposter syndrome, feeling like you're not enough, or that you're uniquely broken, or that you can never change, I want to encourage you. Those are thinking patterns. They're limiting beliefs, and they come from our mindset. Our mindset is the beliefs that we hold, the way that we see the world, the way that we see ourselves. And the great thing about a mindset is that you can change it. And now I want to ask you a question. What would life be like for you if you didn't have those belief systems? Just take a moment and imagine that. Connect with it. Who would you be without the belief that you're an imposter, without the belief that you're not enough, without the belief that you have to do all of these things to be loved and accepted? Who would you be? Well, the good news is you can become that, and you do it by transforming your mindset. So if you're ready to let go of those limiting beliefs, transform your mindset, and create the life that you actually want to live, I want to encourage you to apply for my new one-on-one coaching program called Mindset Mastery. It's a 12-week program that I created to help you transform your mindset, to move you from those limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck towards a growth mindset, an expansive mindset. Over the 12 weeks, we'll work together to help you create a clear and compelling vision for your life, to develop a healthy and self-compassionate relationship with yourself, identify and transform those limiting beliefs, develop a growth mindset, and most importantly, you'll have a partner on your journey. You don't have to do this alone. So if you're serious about transforming your mindset and letting go of those limiting beliefs that got you stuck and you feel like you can't move forward, then I want to encourage you to check out the show notes in this episode or go to my website at jerryhenderson.org/mindset and apply for the program. And to celebrate the launch of this new coaching program, I'm offering $500 off the program to the listeners of this podcast. So when you apply, just simply note that you heard about the coaching program from the podcast. So don't wait any longer. Don't hesitate. Don't talk yourself out of it. Because remember, the most important relationship you have in your life is the one that you have with yourself. And it's time for you to show up for you like you've been showing up for everybody else. So now I want to start talking about some practical tips that you can use to give yourself permission to heal. And the first thing is what we've been doing throughout this entire episode, which is saying to yourself, I give myself permission to heal. Because what you're doing in that moment is you're allowing yourself to give voice to your desire, to your want to heal. And you're beginning to reveal and break through some of those stories that you have as to why you can't heal, right? Because as soon as you say, I give myself permission to heal, I bet there's things that come up as to why you can't give yourself that permission. I bet you're feeling things in your body as to why that doesn't feel okay for you to give yourself permission to heal. So saying those words actually can act like a barometer for us, right? To kind of gauge how we're feeling around the beliefs that we have about our worthiness or our ability to give ourselves permission to heal. So as you say it, I want you to just notice what's coming up. And then I would encourage you and invite you to take some time to write that down. Like, what's coming up? What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it in my body? You know, for many of us who've experienced abuse, we might be feeling it in certain areas of our body where we experienced the abuse because the shame and the pain gets stored in the body. And I'm going to recommend the book that I always recommend, which is The Body Keeps the Score. Because the pain that we've experienced and the shame and the trauma, it gets stored, right? And it's not just about a mental game. It's not just about words. It's about the whole system working together. And when we can identify where we feel it when we say it, and then we can do the work of healing in those areas and rewiring ourselves and helping rewire our nervous system. And a lot of that starts by saying those words. I give myself permission to heal, seeing what comes up, right? Because our ears are hearing it, our brain is processing it, and our whole entire system is processing it, our body, etc. And all of that is giving us signals as to what we actually believe, the core beliefs that we have. So I encourage you to start there by saying the words. The second thing that we can do is acknowledge the pain, right? As we say the words, the pain, the stories, all that starts to come up, and we begin to write that out. That's going to begin to reveal some of the sources of pain that we have, and we need to acknowledge that. The pain that was caused to us, the pain that we caused to other people. Go ahead and take time and acknowledge it. Write it out. What is the pain that you're keeping yourself from healing? You see, because giving ourselves permission to heal isn't about like dismissing it or pretending like the pain never happened and glossing it over. No, it's about authentically recognizing the pain, seeing it for what it is, and then giving ourselves permission to know that we are worthy for that pain to be healed in our lives. And for many of us, the reason that we're not giving ourselves permission to heal the pain is because we're not truly honoring the pain. We're not recognizing the significance of it, or we're dismissing it and we're minimizing it as a way to cope with it. And as long as we're minimizing it, and we're saying it's really not as bad as it was, or we're making all of these excuses for it, we're not able to authentically give ourselves permission to heal, because a part of healing is recognizing and honoring the pain, and a part of giving yourself permission to heal is that you've honored the pain that needs to be healed. Now, the other thing that can help us in giving ourselves permission to heal is forgiving ourselves, is allowing yourself to see the part of yourself that did the things that you feel so much shame about, to understand the coping mechanisms that you developed came from pain. And once again, these are not excuses. This isn't letting yourself off of the hook. This is about genuinely recognizing the parts of you that were in pain, that did behaviors that you're now shaming yourself for, beating yourself up for. They're all the reasons why you tell yourself that you can't love yourself, and all the reasons that you're telling yourself that you can't heal. Allow yourself to forgive yourself. Say the words to yourself, I forgive you. And if you need help with this, you can look at some of the episodes that I've done about how to practice self-forgiveness. And the reason this is such an important part of the process of giving yourself permission to heal is because it's helping get rid of the shame. It's helping to get rid of all of the stories as to why you don't deserve to heal, why you're not worthy of healing. And guess what? One of the big pieces of us healing is forgiving ourselves. So if you can take the time to practice some self-forgiveness, it'll begin to open you up to believing that you're worthy of healing, that you begin to forgive yourself. And forgiving yourself is an incredibly big, huge, important step in giving yourself the permission to heal yourself, because that's a healing act in of itself. Everything I've been talking about in this episode are healing acts. Saying those words to yourself, recognizing your pain, and forgiving yourself are all healing acts. And what you're doing in all of that is you are giving yourself permission to heal by taking those actions that are healing towards you. And you're showing your brain that you're moving towards healing. And you're showing your brain that you're giving yourself the permission to heal. And the final thing that I'll talk about in giving yourself permission to heal is give yourself permission to get help. If you need help, give yourself permission to get the help that you need. Get involved in a support group, see a coach, get with a therapist, whatever you need in order to heal. Because sometimes we don't get help because of all of the stories of the cost, the time, etc., etc. And what all of that really is just a subconscious way or a conscious way of keeping yourself from giving yourself permission to heal. And you getting rid of all the stories that you have as to why you can't do that is a significant part of giving yourself permission to heal. Because you're saying to your brain and you're showing yourself that you're serious about making those changes because you're actually taking action. You're moving towards transforming your life. It's about saying to yourself that you're worthy of help. You're not a burden. You're not somebody who doesn't deserve help from other people. You are worthy of help, you deserve help, and you've likely been prioritizing everybody else getting help and you helping everybody else. But I'm going to encourage you, it's time for you to show up for you like you've been showing up for everybody else. It's time for you to say you're as worthy of the help that you believe everybody else is worthy of, that you've been given to everybody else. And prioritizing yourself and getting the help that you need is giving yourself permission to heal. I hope this episode has helped you in seeing that you are worthy of giving yourself the permission to heal. And the only person who can give yourself that permission is you. You're the only one who can determine whether or not you're going to be healthy and whole or if you're going to stay stuck in the pattern that you don't want to be in anymore. So I want to ask you to say it with me one more time. I give myself permission to heal. Well, if you enjoyed today's episode, I want to encourage you to take time to subscribe or to follow the podcast because that's going to keep you updated on when new episodes come out. I also want to encourage you to share this episode with somebody that you know could use some help. Maybe you know somebody who's stuck and they haven't given themselves the permission to heal and they need to give themselves that permission so that they can move forward and create the life that they want to create. I want to encourage you, send this episode to them because you never know the difference that it can make in their life. Now, if you need resources to help you on your journey, to help you give yourself permission to heal, I want to encourage you to see the show notes in this episode or simply go to my website at jerryhenderson.org. We've got some free resources there that you can download, and you can also learn more about my coaching program. Well, thank you for joining another episode of the Permission to Love podcast, and I want to remind you, as always, you are worthy of your own love.